and welcome to the Scene Weekly podcast, where we harken back to our college debate days and pick two movies of the same theme to don our monocles, furl our brows, and glance around with a pipe in hand while walking directly on our heels in an abundance of confidence. This week's episode is focused on murder mysteries, with Knives Out taking an influence from the board game and movie Clue. Come join Jonathan and Stephen for another week of hopefully less plot chatter and copious more film banter. You are back in LA. Welcome to our world.
We've got all the setup correct. I think our sound is good. Knock on wood.
Can't get worse.
It really can't get any worse than that. But you know, that's what happens when you do it live, and we definitely did.
Have you seen that clip? We're doing it live. We're doing it live.
It's probably one of the top 10 things on the internet of all time.
I would agree.
Bill Riley.
5 stars. 5.5 stars. 5.5 glasses.
Oh, wow. There we go. What are you drinking there? Tea?
Turmeric ginger tea. I have been trying to, I'm now on my, I don't know what to call it, but my focus is back.
Your sabbatical.
I did, I think it was an 80 day, something like that. So June 7th to August 29th, whatever that would be, 28th, 27th, I don't even know. But that 80-day period, I was dieting, I was eating correctly, sleeping exceptionally, no drinking, no nothing. No bites of food that like you shouldn't have. And I'm back on it. Same thing as what I did before. This is day number 4 of 119.
And leading up to what? What are we leading up to, Jonathan?
Indoor track and field world champs. Masters world champs, I should clarify. Running for Team USA yet again. This will be fun.
There you go. I thought you might have switched sides to like Jamaica or China or something like that. But I'm glad you're sticking with Team USA.
Do I look Jamaican or Chinese?
You know, I don't want to like pigeonhole you.
You just were by naming 2 countries that are random. So you pigeonholed me to those 2 countries. Why not, Sweden, Norway?
Oh, yeah, I could have done that, but I didn't want to assume anything.
But you already assumed I was Chinese.
It was like a word vomit kind of thing. You know, it wasn't.
Yeah, you do that a lot. Word vomit.
I do. Yeah, it's one of my signature traits.
I like that about you. Vomiting of the words. I heard another good joke recently. Would you like to hear it?
Oh yeah, let's hear a joke.
What is blue and not very heavy?
Blue. A Smurf? I don't think Smurfs are heavy.
Light blue.
Oh God. They're just getting progressively worse.
I did hear one the other day. It's I've kind of delved into make it my own. What are your thoughts on cargo pants?
Cargo pants. I had them as a kid. I haven't bought any since. I'm not a big fan. Not a fan.
More like cargo beep.
What? That doesn't even make sense. Oh, gosh, we're gonna get trolled.
That's good. I hope we get trolled. I hope all the people come out of the woodwork and leave us nice comments so we can print T-shirts. But anyway, murder mysteries. I love this one.
Who done it, man? We got some.
Who do you think did it?
Well, we gotta narrow that down the scope a little bit, because we got 2 movies we're talking about. We got Knives Out and we got the classic Clue.
So I'll pause and ask you a question. So in these movies of these murder mysteries, whatever it might be, the whole genre, you can take any Agatha Christie. Do you sit pensively on your chair thinking while taking notes, I think I know who's done it, and like try to draw out maybe something that allows you to understand things from a higher perspective, or you're just like, I'm just going to watch this movie and have fun, let it be an enjoyable ride? Or is there a mixture of both?
I think there's a little bit of a mixture, but I will say that there is that kind of natural inclination to try and figure out the thread or the shadow of mystery that lies beneath the film, and you're trying to figure out and see the little Easter eggs and details and red herrings and whatnot. But at the end of the day, for me, these two movies, I just kind of laid back and let it just soak me in, and just like, because I mean, they're comedies mainly.
Do you like to soak like the Mormons? Speaking of soaking,
How did we get here?
I mean, you said soaking, but I myself, when I was younger, not in relation to soaking, I myself, when I was younger, wish I would have known soaking existed because that would have been hilarious. Would have it's just a funny thing. But I sit back and just let it absorb me. I don't really think anymore like, oh, I've got to figure out who's right. My competitiveness on things have pretty much left me. Intellectual competitiveness, I'm dying, I guess, to some extent. But with that, this is like where you start giving up on things. I was much more competitive, and so in my brain, I would try to even compete with myself. Like, oh, I can figure out who's done it, and now I'm just like, this is enjoy the damn movie, just watch it. I never try to figure out
Yeah,
who's done it.
I'm not the detective here. I didn't get
Yeah,
hired to come in and smoke a pipe and wear a hat. Like, I'm not Sherlock Holmes. Did you read any Sherlock Holmes as a kid?
all of it. Yeah,
It's great, right?
yeah, it was fantastic. It's been a
And
while since
there,
I read it though.
and you can, I mean, even reading those, I wasn't trying to be the detective. I was just enjoying the plot, and like how, you know, the writer could fool me, or trick me, or basically lay out this plot and just, have it so intricate that you're following along. You're like just stupefied with two O's. How amazing, a murder mystery can be.
I like being stuptified too. Words we're making up right on the spot. A book or a series of books that I used to like back in the day, Choose Your Own Adventure. Now, they're
Oh
not
wow.
whodunits, but Choose Your Own Adventure, which Clue effectively is to some extent. Um, Fantastic.
I
Cheesy
remember those
now,
books.
pretty
Yeah.
simple, but terrific that you can have multiples of stories. And it's lovely because you can just, whatever you want to create in your own brain, you can, this is where I want to go. It's very engaging, I think.
Did you know a few years ago Netflix did a choose your own adventure like TV show where you could like
Yeah,
click the different
yeah.
paths you want to go on? I thought that was pretty creative.
I liked it for the first little bit, and I was like, yeah, it was okay. It was creative.
It was okay. Yeah, it was a
It's
little.
kind of like one shot movies where you have to give them props for trying something new, but like the effectiveness, it was good, not great.
Yeah, gotcha. How did we land here on the Who Done It? What happened? Like what? Where did this come from?
I don't know. You tell me. I got next week. I know how to explain that. You tell me how we got here.
I think it's because you've been talking about this movie Clue as like one of your, I don't know. You've mentioned it in different aspects of where we could go with a theme and stuff like that. And I initially kind of said board games, but to be honest, there's not a lot of movies that are inspired by board games. There's just a few, and they're pretty horrible. And I really wanted to watch Clue this week, and I was like, let's do murder mystery.
I didn't know that you wanted to watch Clue this week because of that. Yeah, I strangely enough, I've seen Clue many times. I love Clue. I had started Knives Out maybe 5 times, and I never got past like 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was terrible each time.
Wow.
I thought
Okay.
it was. I thought it was like Cheese Factory replica of Clue, and just ripping off of Clue. And then I got through it this time. I was like, this is a great movie.
Okay. Good. All right. All right. At least we can.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have to. I don't have to walk on eggshells here and be like, I wonder what he's gonna think about this movie. But
No,
okay, good.
I went to back to the 5 times, and I was like, where was I? And I was like, I think it was maybe because I watched Clue and I went to Knives Out, and I was like,
Hmm.
only one movie can do this, which is not the best perspective I think to have, but they're fun. I actually could probably delve into this genre in a week's period. I could probably watch one per day, and then even on day 7, be like, I still got more left. I can watch more of this.
I mean, I'll be honest. Like right after I watched Clue first, then I went to Knives Out, and I was like, I'm still digging this. And I went to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Glass Onion, and I've already seen the Glass Onion, but yeah, I wanted to watch it again.
I've never
So
seen
here we
is the
are.
Glass Onion part 2 of Knives Out?
Yeah, it's just another continuation of Benoit Blanc. It's the same character of Benoit Blanc, but he's in a different murder mystery with different characters.
I've never seen it.
With
Is that
with
it?
Edward Norton. Yeah,
What?
it's great.
Okay, so I gotta write this down for later.
And there's a third one coming out next year.
How? 2019. When did this Glass Onion come out?
It's during the pandemic, so it was like 2021, I think.
Wow, they're really like ripping through them. But
Yeah,
anyway, yeah, it's fun.
it is fun.
Yeah, it's an enjoyable ride. The Rotten Tomato score for Knives Out is stunningly high. No offense to you guys, but stunningly high. I think if it came out during the pandemic, that probably would be one of the best movies that came out during the pandemic.
Yeah,
You're
yeah. I
at
mean,
home, yeah. I don't know, 97%. I think it was.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Questionable. But anyway, why don't we get into it? We don't have
Okay.
time for the blah 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 blah.
But
Who's
we're doing it
first?
anyways. You know.
Yeah,
Let's do.
I want to do
Let's start
Clue
with
first.
let's start with Clue. Let's start with where it
It's
kind
the
of all
first where it
started.
originated. The first, by the way, board game that became a movie, which is not surprising, I guess, to some extent. And to be fair, uh, the best, simply put, and that's it. So
What other
we're going home.
what other movies are based off of board games? What do we
Wasn't
got
there?
here?
I don't even know. I don't even know.
Battleship.
Oh, that's a terrible one. That's right.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
bad.
that was a bad choice.
I'm surprised there's not a Monopoly movie.
Wasn't there that could be made? Talk anyway. Clue, 97 minutes. Jonathan Lynn is the director. 1985 PG rated comedy thriller and more comedy, I would say. Rotten Tomatoes scores at a 72% and a budget of 15 million with basically a 15 million in the box office, just a little shy. And the synopsis is this. The first movie based on a board game with 6 blackmail victims are invited to an isolated mansion by a man who knows a dark secret from each of their pasts. On arrival, each is given a pseudonym drawn from Cluedo from being introduced to the blackmailer. Each is handed a weapon, at which point the lights are switched off and the blackmailer is killed. Can the guests uncover the murderer before they all become victims? I don't know. Let's find out.
Ugh, it's
It's
just chef's
Did
kiss.
you know all of the first of all, big fan of so the campiness of the movie. At first, it takes a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it takes for a person to you know get into that level of cheese, kind of to some extent. Once you get there, you're like, I'm all in on like the rules are different in this world. Police officer stops by, for example. There's been murders throughout the building, and like still the rules are out the window. I love movies that put you in like a different rule set. So big fan of that. But I will say the attention to detail that went into this movie is pretty extreme. So the house itself, it's a set, shot on set outside of the mansion that burned down, I think 2016. Um, Leading up, all of the cars and the colors of the cars for the characters that are being brought in actually represent their character piece in the game,
I didn't realize that.
which is pretty cool. Had no idea until I was like looking up things. And then when they were actually in the house, it's uh, I think there's extremely small nuances that are actually different, but it's identical. So the secret passageways like actually lead to the actual secret passageways in the board game, and the rooms themselves are set up entirely exactly as the board game is, which is fucking cool.
The thing is, they didn't need to do that, but the fact that they did is great.
Pretty cool. Like clearly something that unless you're a diehard Clue like nerd. I mean, if you are a diehard, then you probably were like, "Huh, that's interesting. That actually leads here." But I was like, "Man, they went all out in this." But I think Jonathan Lynn, I don't know his desire to go this crazy, um, but terrific job on just creating a cast that they said in the backstory. I mean, there's 3 Oscar noms for the women in the movie, first of
Yeah.
all, which is crazy. And just like the cast is stunningly terrific, but all in that campiness, that kind of like cheese factory that you just get used to. And like anyone can die at any moment, and you wouldn't feel a loss for them. And it doesn't matter who it is. Like anyone could literally die, and you'd be like, "This, we're playing a board game, basically." And it's like, "Oh, you lost, you're out of the board game," kind of thing. Like that's the feeling that it had, which
Yeah.
super interested to see every single time I watch this. But it was your first watch, right?
It was my first watch, and I'm surprised by this because when I saw the cast and I was like, Christopher Plummer's in this, Michael McKean. This is like
Yeah.
literally the movie he did after Spinal Tap. Like this is
Wow.
this
Did
is
he
his next
really?
film. Um, and yeah, I mean I played the game Clue before. I like the game Clue. I'm not too good at it, but yeah, I don't know why this never I just never got around to watching it until now. But oh my gosh, like some of just the lines in this movie, the setups, the it's like immensely quotable and rewatchable.
Husbands should be like Kleenex, soft, strong, and disposable. Like when they're talking on multiple occasions when they're talking about, there's a body, they're like, who are you talking about? Nobody. Yeah, there is nobody. They're like, no, there's nobody here. Yeah, nobody. Just
It's a who's on first kind of thing.
yeah,
Like, what are you afraid of? A fate worse than death? No, just death. Isn't that enough? There's no fate
yeah.
worse than death.
But the beginning is terrific. I enjoy the campiness of it. I enjoy also the fact of there being rain and
Yeah.
the rain.
And German shepherds.
Yeah, yeah, and the rain being is like equally campy as the movie itself. So it sets like a really nice tone. But the intro music is terrific. I don't know who did it. Didn't look that up.
It's all
But
right.
let me ask you a
Props
question.
to that person.
Do you like Tig Old Biddies?
Oh, the maid. That's who we're talking about now, huh?
Oh no, I was talking about Scarlet.
Scarlet. Oh, okay, Miss Scarlet. Of course.
I mean,
I
it's so funny because like people, like the whole cast is just like in the '80s. You could just aggressively just be staring down, like it's a board game. It's that campiness level. Like everyone's just staring at her boobs
yeah, and
constantly.
there's no shame. There's no shame in it.
Zero. Man,
Yeah,
woman.
objectifying women. Just the 80s.
I have to ask a question. I don't know if you remember, but their second meal, their second entree, or their dish, whatever you want to call it, what the
Okay.
hell was that? It
Oh,
was
I
like
don't.
something out of Star Wars. It looked like shrimp, like Chinese shrimp roll,
Might have been. I don't know. Was it the one that what's her? Not Miss Scarlet.
and it just looked like it looked pretty nasty. Although the shrimp rolls are absolutely delicious. It just looked like something out of Star Wars, just mushy, like or the Matrix, eating like oatmeal kind of
Mrs.
thing.
Peacock really liked it. I believe
She did,
she
yeah.
she was a
It's
fan.
the
She was a big
it's
fan.
the monkey's brains. Was that the one?
I think so. Yeah.
That's got to be the one then. When she was talking about how good this is. They don't have monkey's brains in DC. But I was looking at it. I was like thinking this is crazy. I have a second question for you. How hard did you laugh when the poison Miss Peacock was being smacked after being poisoned potentially? Because
Pretty
I,
hard.
I had to rewind it. And I was like, dude, what is this movie? Like, what is going on? Like, how do you go from being poisoned, sitting her down, and then smacking her in the face? And then everyone's just like, yeah, that's all right. No big deal. This is a board game. It's kind of like there's no rules here. You can do anything you
There
want
are
almost.
there's the rules within the movie, within the board game, within the farce, and like you said, kind of anything goes in this movie. I mean, I got a shout out to Tim Curry. I think this is one of his best performances. I mean, he's a great actor in anything that he does, but this is just wow. I mean, he knows how to buttle. He's a butler that knows how to buttle.
I think it's my favorite by him. He said it's also his favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. It's his favorite movie.
Yeah.
And the cast, if you look up the backstory, like literally every single person basically got along and well. Like during like the shoot, they had to be encouraged to like get back to work basically. because they
Because they were probably
everyone
just laughing, cracking
yeah,
jokes.
yeah. They would all crack jokes when they weren't shooting, and then when they weren't shooting, they had a pool table, so like everyone went to go play billiards and just shooting the shit the entire time. When they had to like be brought back, basically like corralling cats, which is a nice thing to hear when you're on set because you hear so many of the bad stories of people just like getting at each other's necks.
Right.
But it felt like that. Like watching it, it felt like they had a goddamn good time filming this.
Yeah, you could see the chemistry within this cast and just like how they gelled off of each other. And I don't know, like I didn't look this up, but I've got to think that some of this this was spontaneous kind of improv ad libs. I just the way that they were
Yeah.
bouncing off of each other was fantastic.
Um, yeah, it's funny. There's like not much to even like mention about the movie itself in terms of things. But which ending did you like the most?
That's the funny thing. When this movie came out, and I'm sure you read this and,
Yeah.
and saw that they had this weird idea. It wasn't very smart, but they thought it was gonna like drive more ticket sales. It's like we're gonna split this movie ending into 3 different endings. And we're going to distribute across the US, and you're not going to know which ending it is. So you might have to drive across town or to another city or to another state just to see the other ending, which is like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like whoever I don't know. Whoever had that idea is a strange human. I didn't think that would work either, but um nice A/B test. Like I mean, it's good to test these things out. It didn't work, but nonetheless, it's
That's why
pretty
you have
cool.
a test audience. You have a test audience to do this kind of thing. I don't know. But
Maybe it's like choose your own adventure to some extent, but you're not even choosing it.
and then you have to like I said, drive across town. Hopefully you're in the right theater that has the different ending that you haven't seen. But yeah,
What was
I
your favorite
mean,
though?
I got to go with the last one where the
Yeah.
butler is the murderer, and then you have Michael McKean just with the last line. I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife. What?
Which came out of nowhere because they were making fun of him for being gay, like
The whole
throughout the
time.
movie. Yeah, yeah, which is hilarious. It wrapped it up nicely. I didn't like the second one where the Kingdom of Heaven guy. I swear to you, the way it was built up, like anyone could die at any moment. When they opened the door for the Kingdom of Heaven guy talking about Jesus, I was like, everyone, everyone watching and everyone like in the house is like, this guy needs to get it. You know, I was like, if anyone's gonna get it, it's gonna be this guy.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he ends up being, FBI. But I was like, he needs to die. He needs to get going. Um, the quotes are amazing. I can't remember. Oh yeah, in terms of J. Edgar Hoover being on the call and the FBI, like cleaning up crime and things like that. Um, and then I don't know how this started, but they're talking about the FBI, and it's like, why do you think it's run by a man called Hoover? These such silly one-liners. It's basically the whole movie, more or less.
That's why I think it's just immensely rewatchable. And I think it's also why uh, this movie has gained a cult following because it didn't do well when it came out.
No,
It was
yeah,
pretty the box office wasn't great, But tying it, tying all 3 endings together and making it feel like a true, board game, like a true Clue game, and having all these different endings, and anybody could have been the murderer, and anybody could have done it, and having all of these just immensely quotable lines that are just yeah, they're like it's rapid fire,
it's
and
nonstop. Yeah,
I need to watch it again because I think I missed some of it because like I was laughing at one joke
yeah.
and there was another one that came through and I didn't get it, but yeah,
What
it's
would be
just it's,
your murder weapon of choice?
out of the ones that I could choose in a game of Clue,
That's correct.
a candlestick.
Why a candlestick?
Candlestick is because it's unassuming. A pipe is pretty assuming, right? Like what the fuck are you doing carrying around a pipe around a house? Like you're not a plumber. You're not fixing anything.
They can
A
lie to each
gun,
other.
now a gun that's good for protection, but it's obviously like if you have a gun, you're probably the murderer, right? A rope, what are you doing? Are you do you have some tendencies of self-harm or are you going to harm somebody else? A candlestick on the other hand is like I'm just walking around trying
What
to
about a
see some.
wrench?
Again, if you're Professor Plum, what are you carrying a wrench around for?
Tooling
If you're
around.
Mrs. Scarlet, what are you carrying a wrench around for?
They
There's there,
got to, they had to change their tire.
but why are you carrying it around? The only reason you should be carrying anything around a mansion is a candlestick.
Why would anyone carry around a candlestick around
Just
a
like,
mansion that's not even their house?
well, because you maybe you're going into a dark room and you're looking for a candle and you just need it.
All
It's
right,
it's a
I'm just
plausible
saying.
deniability
I'm
here.
not even talking. So you're taking it a step further. What is your method of killing a human being? If
Well, if
you're
I had
a character in Clue, how do you kill somebody?
again, I'm going candlestick. But if you're speaking objectively, like what's the easiest way? It's
No,
a
no,
gun.
no. I'm not saying easiest.
It's
I'm
a little
saying like
loud. It's a little
I'm
loud.
just saying like so you would enjoy like really getting in there and like using your own force to hit somebody unconscious and potentially like having to do it again and again and again. So it sounds like you're
I'm
a
just
ruthless human.
no. It's
Very
about
aggressive.
it's about winning the game of Clue. And if you're the murderer, you don't want to have a gun because it's loud. You don't want to have a wrench in your pocket because it's heavy, it's bulky. Can't really hide it. Same with a pipe, a
Can you
rope.
hand a candlestick? Sorry,
You
ladies.
don't.
It's just me.
Well, yeah, that was very unassuming for me. That's for sure. Uh, but like I said, a candlestick you can just carry. It's like open carry. You're just allowed to hold it around. Like, oh, just carrying a candlestick, no big deal. What about you? What is your? Give me your reasoning of what
a
you would
knife. A
use.
knife. It's reusable and it's easy to utilize and bear. It's pretty light. It's effective. A candlestick is going to hurt. Screams may come out. You may have to use it 10, 15 times. Blood everywhere. A knife, just cut a carotid, and that's it. It's a done
I'll
deal.
be honest, I forgot about the knife, but I'm sticking with candlestick. I'm sticking with candlestick.
But yeah, the gun would probably be my least favorite. But yeah, excellent movie. Not a whole lot to talk about. It's more of just like the one liners, but you can't just sit here and have one liners being discussed on a movie podcast, I guess. But terrific. I wish
What other?
I wish there was more movies like this. The '80s, generally speaking, across the board, I think everyone has pretty much agreed collectively, all directors, that the '80s had pretty much the worst movies in the history of cinema in a decades period. I kind of disagree with that to some extent, but largely there's some shit movies, to be fair. With that said, this is terrific. 1985, awesome movie, fun loving, right up the '80s alley of like what is possible and cheesy and campy that goes collectively together, hand in hand. I love it.
That's the thing about like trashing on '80s movies and stuff like that, because like we go back to it and it's something that would never be made today. Some of these jokes would never land or even be written today. The style of the movie, the theme, the tone, like it just would never be written today. And you go back and watch and you're like, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah. Did you get your cord, by the way, for your mic?
I did, yeah.
Look at that.
That's why my setup was a little bit longer today.
How does that make you
Um,
feel in life? Oh,
if
Steven, we had a second podcast last week of the bad audio, and Steven potentially had a very lengthy job where he would have to edit 17 different videos together because he kept having his cord fall out of his mic. And now, as
yeah,
mine is directly attached to my computer, it's easy.
we're only in our 44th episode and we're still figuring it out. So there's that. But I will ask you one more question, and this kind of goes back to the beginning of movies and board games. Top 3 board games that could become movies. What do you got?
I want Monopoly for sure. I would love to see. I don't even know if this is considered a board game. Is Connect Four a board game?
I would consider that a tabletop game. Yeah,
Um, and then Cards Against Humanity. Oh, that's not it. That's a card game.
that's a card game. Yeah.
What's that one that you put? Sorry, that's sorry.
Oh, sorry would be
I would
good.
like a
Yeah.
sorry one.
I don't
See what would
I don't
happen
know I
there.
don't know what the plot of that movie would be. Um,
Who cares? I mean, they made a whole movie about, yeah, like you can easily do it. You can do anything.
Mine
Um,
would be if I had to choose top 3, and I'm not gonna cross pollinate with your list because I think Monopoly would be great, but I'm not gonna do that. Um, Candyland. I'm surprised that's not a
yeah,
movie
that'd be
yet.
good.
It
Is
could
it?
be creepy too. It could be really creepy. Uh,
Candyland.
Candyland. Hungry Hungry Hippos. That would be pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And let's maybe do a nice segue into the next movie. Go. Oldest board game alive. 2,500 years.
No.
I think it could be good.
Maybe, does chess count?
Ooh, chess is definitely a board game.
Then I would say
I don't know.
yes.
I don't know who owns the property rights to chess. Do you think somebody owns the IP to chess?
No. No. That'd be cool.
Let's get let's get on that.
Chess.
Let's get that IP.
Somebody get it. Somebody make these movies. I wish I had somebody that could just be like, "Hey, man, what about your thoughts on this?" And then they just run with it. I don't have high powered people, but anyway, first time watching Knives Out full on, which is very exciting.
Did you do it in a piecemeal setting or did you do it all at once?
I did it on the airplane, and so I
So
did it
all
all
at
at
once.
once. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it was
It's a
lovely.
good airplane movie too.
Yeah, it was great. I think
I bet.
I branch off with airplane movies, to be honest. I think actually
Branch off meaning what? Do
I haven't
you
actually
watch?
watched an airplane movie in like a year. Like every time I've been on the airplane, I'm watching movies that we have chosen. So those are
Oh
airplane
right,
movies
not the one that's just on a screen and you're
on a
like, okay, what
screen.
what do they
Yeah, yeah,
got?
yeah. That's a
Yeah.
really sad time of my life. I got
Why
to
is it
reflect.
sad?
I love those airplane movies. I've actually
There's
found
the
like I found so many good ones that my wife and I go and watch. Like even TV shows, for example, like Freakgent, Norwegian crime thriller. I found that, and
okay.
I'll after I watched like a full episode, and I was like, I have to stop this. She's gonna love it. I do it all the time.
I'm just curious on like how do you're perusing through the menu on a little screen. You ask the flight attendant, "Hey, can I get the AirPods? The AirPods, thank you." And you settle on a Norwegian TV show out of
Hmm.
like the blue. You can't even like get on your phone and like Google like what's the rating on this TV show here. You're just selecting it like
Hmm.
based off the cover art. What are you doing here?
I don't know.
Okay,
It seemed to make sense. I always go
all
with
right.
my gut, almost always. Pretty much almost always with everything. I go with my gut. Let go.
That's why you drink kombucha.
That looks good. Done. I'm not one of the like. I think I've told you the book that you haven't read, "How to Not Die Alone," has a terrific way of explaining this, where it's like you give me like three options, I can immediately make a decision, and I'm like, I'm good with the decision. If it sucks, then I'll just choose another one. Like, who cares? Just make the decision and move on with your life. That's how I am. Like, oh, if it sucks, I'll stop it, and then I'll move to the next. Like, oh my god, I went through 150 movies, and now I have 6 minutes left in this flight. Like, I'm not. That's not me. Like, three
Yeah,
seconds, I'll choose something. Okay, good. Moving on, and be like, I'm good with this. It's cool, and that's how I found it.
that makes sense.
Not that everyone should be like this,
There's
but
decision paralysis in some people.
my wife, she can't go to
Yeah.
a diner. I have to like provide her with three or four options. Give her blue sky. She shivers. She folds. She goes into a ball and says, "This is too high for me." Um, but anyway, Knives Out.
Knives Out.
Fun,
This is
fun movie.
it's definitely a fun movie. It's a 2019 film, directed by Ryan Johnson. If you've known him previously, one of his first films that I adored when I was in my college years was Brick. He made that movie. Do you remember that Brick?
It sounds
Joseph
familiar.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. But anyways, it's
Oh,
like a
yeah, I know what you're talking about, but
the
I haven't
kind
seen
of
it.
neo noir, and they talk in like 1940s, jargon of like.
She's a brick and I'm okay. Sorry.
But he also did Looper, directed one of the newer Star Wars films, and then he came back into Knives Out. This got $40 million budget, 320 at the box.
Wow.
We talked, yeah. talked about that Rotten Tomato score, 97%. Um, and it's got another all-star cast. We talked about the Clue cast. This cast is right up there with them. Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Anna de Armas, Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon, Don Johnson, Toni Collette, Lakeith Stanfield, and Christopher Plummer. Just an amazing cast, an amazing group of people. Tagline for this movie, pretty good. Hell, any of them could have done it. That's a pretty good tagline. And this is the plot. A renowned crime novelist, Harlan Tromby, is found dead with a slit throat on the night of his 85th birthday. What initially looks to be a suicide, in comes the debonair detective Benoit Blanc to help uncover a possible murder by one of Harlan's dysfunctional family members. While the family fights over the huge inheritance of the Trombley estate, a young caretaker becomes intertwined in the mystery of the murder. And this is one of those films that it introduces each character so well. I love just the short interrogation interview scene, and you have Benoit Blanc just sitting in the background.
Ding!
And playing those keys, and I think he's playing those keys as every time he's like hearing a note of falseness or something in their story, right? But you get introduced to each of these characters, and they each kind of have a motive of why they would want to kill the patriarch of the family. And this is one of those movies that it kind of turns the murder mystery on its head, where you get to see just how the murder happened pretty close to the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
Right? You see that she injects him with 100 milligrams of morphine. I could kill a baby elephant, man.
Can it?
I don't know. It's just an expression I like to use a lot.
Is it?
But yeah, she mixes up the bottles as they play the game Go. And he's just so calm about it. He's like, I'm 85 years old. This is what you're going to do. And we're going to make a plan so your family doesn't get deported.
It's a terrific way to begin a movie, and to have like the antagonist also be kind of like the protagonist and like root for her at the same time. It's a weird thing. Like it's rare to have these moments.
It's very rare, and it turns the kind of the murder mystery on the head, because you think you've seen it all as the viewer. You're like, okay, I know what's going on here, but you really don't.
You're like, he's not gonna cut his throat. Like, there has to be. Oh shit! He just cut his throat. Wait, what's going on? Okay, it's like those moments you're like, it's setting up for something, and then it becomes something entirely different. Or like, here's a box of nice believability, and then you're like, there's no way this is going to work. Oh my god, it's working.
Yeah,
it's rare. It's rare to have that actually happen. I want more of these movies in my life, though. These Agatha Christie's and murder mysteries. I might go down a wrong path or a weird path. Glass Onion tonight.
You should watch it.
Yeah,
it's great. And I love the idea of Benoit Blanc, like this Sherlock Holmes style detective, the world's greatest detective. Yeah. And he comes in, and the note that Rian Johnson had for Daniel Craig was he has a slight Southern accent, and Daniel Craig just went full kind of Foghorn Leghorn on.
Yeah,
and he got inspiration actually from Christopher Guest in the movie Best in Show, and he kind of went.
You can hear that.
You can definitely hear it. It's great. But yeah, you got this family. They're super dysfunctional. They're all fighting for this inheritance that they think they're gonna be getting. But before Harlan Trombley died, he sat each of them down and said, "I'm cutting you out."
Yeah, which creates
no more handouts.
Some hostility between everyone, so everyone could be the murderer. You know?
Yeah, they have a reason.
Who done it? I don't know. Could be anyone.
Well, could be anyone, but got the 100 milligrams of morphine. We saw it as a viewer. We saw that he was going to die from that instance. But the plot thickens, and there is some strangeness afoot. And I really like how Daniel Craig explains his method, the method of Benoit Blanc. See, something is afoot with this whole affair. I know it, and I believe you know it too. He said, Harlan's detectives, they dig, they rifle and root, they're truffle pigs. But I anticipate the terminus of gravity's rainbow. I don't know why. I love that.
Have you read Gravity's Rainbow?
Is that a real book? I thought that was just like a fictional thing in the movie.
Thomas Pynchon.
Jonathan, I have a lot of books I need to read, and Gravity's Rainbow is not on the list.
That's considered to be one of the most difficult books to pretty much ever read, because
Okay.
there's like multitudes of ways in which, kind of like ways that you shouldn't write a book to some extent, of like what not to do as an author, where you have like in the same paragraph two people talking to each other, and then they end up like thinking about it's similar to, it reminds me of Absalom, where you have two people talking, and then you go in their heads and you don't know you're in their head, and they're just thinking thoughts, and then it comes back and you don't know that, and then you basically have to go and read the book for a second or third time. But if memory serves, he has a second dick, the protagonist, and it relies the amount of dick jokes that are it's not even pervasive. It's like, I don't know, in the
Have
dozens
you
or
tried reading Gravity's Rainbow? It sounds like you have.
yeah, I've read it for school, and the hundreds of like dick jokes. I might be exaggerating that. It's been like 20 years, or 15, something like that. Wherever I was in school, English major. It's a terrible book. People consider this to be like one of the worst books of all time, but also one of the greatest books of all time. Like, you ever read Infinite Jest?
I know it.
David Foster Wallace.
It's a little bit too thick for me.
It's thick. I mean, Gravity's Rainbow is like 800 pages itself, but in Infinite Jest is like, I don't know, probably double that or triple. Infinite Jest, I would put it up there with that, where it's like so long, somewhat convoluted, disjointed in the weirdest of way, and just trying to be cute. But there's so much good text there. Anyway, the terminus of Gravity's Rainbow. I thought I would ask you if you had read it, but you haven't. So
Well, neither has Benoit Blanc.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, you read it? No.
No.
I wouldn't recommend it though. It's a tough one.
Okay.
I'd have to go. Yeah. Anyway.
But I like how he describes his method. I think that's apropos for him, and he even goes on to you'll see this in the Glass Onion, because they make several, or they make one Clue reference in this movie, where Lakeith Stanfield, the detective's like, this is straight out of, like, this house is straight out of a Clue board game. It's so true. And then in Glass Onion, they're talking about like the game of Clue, and he's like, Benoit Blanc's like, I'm horrible at dumb things. Like, he's basically like, that's my Achilles heel. I'm very bad at dumb things. So he's bad at Clue, but he can figure out in the real world, or in the movie world, a murder mystery. But yeah, I mean, what else did you like about this
I mean,
this whodunit?
To be full on pedantic, it's been a while.
Yeah. Shout
The
out T-Rock.
the questioning when they go into each of the the people being sat down. He's sitting next to the piano, and people are being interrogated. For a rich family, they're not taking this like a deposition. They're not taking this like just like, here is all the information. Dig, 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 dig. Which is the dumbest way. But if you were to have a deposition, this would be the most boring movie ever. But I will say this: in the first few minutes, it reminded me of You. And somebody said,
Hugh or you?
You.
Okay, got it.
And when there was a couple sure's that got spit out, and it reminded me of You, and I was like, that's the most infuriating way of saying yes. Sure, 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 sure. And I just thought of you. I thought it was cute. I say sure sometimes. And I think in my head, this is the most infuriating way of saying yes.
I think you sent me an article on our last trip last week about this infuriation of yours.
Do you think she was from Paraguay, Ecuador, Brazil, or your Uruguay? Because
it's the running joke, man. It's
Marta. Where is she from?
it's this elitist family,
Yeah,
this class difference that they don't even bother to like. She's like a member of our family.
family.
Sorry, you couldn't go to the funeral. I was voted out. I wanted you to go, but I was voted out. My hands are tied.
How is that possible? That everyone basically thinks of her like from a different place. I don't know. I liked it. I like the variations.
Yeah. To be fair, Anna de Armas is of Cuban and Spanish descent.
Hmm.
Just
Actual
to be clear.
Spain, to be clear.
Yeah, actual Spain. Yeah. Um, but she's great in it. And I like, going back to the board game of Go. I did this whole deep dive on YouTube of like how the game of Go in this movie symbolize certain strategic plays and things like that. And I really liked what I got from it. Was I really liked how this movie depicts Marta, and she's not playing their game. Just like she doesn't play the game of Clue. She doesn't do lies and deceit and backstabbing, because if she lies, she literally vomits. Not word vomit like me. She vomits. She has a physical reaction to lying. I don't know if that's really a thing. You could look that up. But in the game of Go, she doesn't play the game that others play. She just tries to build intricate and beautiful shapes. Whereas the game of Go, you're trying to like strategically defend your area and move pieces around and take other places away, and you're very kind of strategic and sometimes aggressive about it. And she's not. And this whole movie, that's the way she plays the game, and that's why she wins.
Does she win?
I mean, let's look at the facts. She's a caretaker. She's very friendly with Harlan Tromby. She's basically the only friend, the only confidant that he has. He writes everybody out of his will.
Mm-hmm.
And what does he do? He gives the whole kit and caboodle to Marta. Everything.
Is that winning? It's just she's lost her friend.
She did lose her friend, and she thought
Mm-hmm.
she killed him. She
Yeah,
definitely did think she killed him. She was going to live with guilt forever. But I mean, 60 million
no,
in the bank, a
money's not
nice
everything,
house.
Steven. A
I
family
I
that
know
hates
that.
you, they're going to be attacking you for the rest of your life. I mean, money's not everything. Comes with a lot of
Again,
package.
he's 85 years old. He was going to go sooner or later. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure,
Okay,
but
sure.
not under not under. I think the parameters for which the death actually happened was probably not what she so desired. But could you
Oh,
imagine
clearly not.
vomiting if you lied like a single like anytime you lied, you just threw up in your mouth, you had to swallow it, whatever it might be. Could you imagine? You especially would be lying all the time, and therefore throwing up all the time.
Well, here's the thing. Like I'm like people kind of call me Honest Abe, Honest Steven,
Who
to tell you the
calls you
truth.
honest, Abe?
I've just been, it's like one of those things where it's like, damn.
You're throwing up in your mouth right now. That's what you're doing. Honest Steven, huh?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like,
Yeah. From
he
whom?
he cannot tell a lie. It's pretty cool that people have
You're
this.
giving yourself like your own nickname now. Like this is where life goes downhill. You turn 40, you start giving yourself your own nickname, thinking you're better at things than you actually are. This is where it starts. You gotta encourage yourself. Pat yourself on the back. I'm honest
Yeah.
Abe. I tell no lies.
uh, I tell no lies, man. Um, yeah, it would suck. It would suck to you have to bomb it, especially like after you eat a big plate of pork and beans. I mean, that Chris Evans, that's one of the most evil things you could do to a person that that will vomit if she lies, and you feed that person a big plate of pork and beans. I mean, come on.
That's a rough one, but it's a setup. There's a significant amount of money on the line. I mean, as somebody, I've seen this happen in my own family, not my direct family, but side family, and just fighting over small amounts of money. It gets feisty. I mean, people care, and then I can't imagine 60 million is extreme care. People would be very hurt. I mean, you're retiring. It's like, hey, do you want to work for the rest of your life, or do you want to not work for the rest of your life? Hey, if you just get a little bit of
Well,
this by arguing and maybe going to court, then you can have this. What are you gonna say?
and the thing is, these people have not had to work their entire life, so they can't even imagine picking themselves off their bootstraps and being like, all right, I need to actually like build something. No, it's Harlan Trombley has been giving these people kind of like a handout,
Yeah.
setting them up for success, but he's not been doing it out of necessarily graciousness and gratitude. He's been doing it as like to control them.
Yeah, it's bad, man. Really think about it. He's created a zoo. Like he's taken these dolphins, he's taken these bears, and like, here's your zoo, and now you can't actually send them out into the wild. But he's about to. I'd like
Yeah.
to see what actually happens with his family next. But with that being said, separately speaking, one of my favorite parts of the whole movie is where things are very tense. Can't remember the guy's character's name, but very tense in the middle of like something completely separate. And he goes, "Have you been smoking grass?" And in the moment of taking care of Marta, and
Yeah.
I was like, tense, tense, tense. What the hell? I was like laughing. I was LOLing.
Yeah.
Pretty loudly in that moment. It
That was Michael
sounds like
Shannon's character,
okay. Sounds like you're
who was
making this up.
great. He had a great line after Ransom, Chris Evans' character. He had a great kind of introduction because we've known Chris Evans as like this like Captain America, like that's his biggest role to
I
date,
haven't
and
seen
now
it.
he's in this.
What's it about?
Well, it's about a superhero that gets injected with super serum and becomes like this heroic figure, and he is worthy of Thor's hammer.
Who's Super Seaman and Thor's dick?
Yeah,
It's Thor's semen.
you got to go to the X-rated section for that film. But
Oh, hmm. You
anyways,
you have been
Chris
on
Evans,
Cheat Finder.
he's basically, he's America's boy next door, and he gets put in this role where he's just this shitty guy that's
Mm.
entitled. And the original line for him, uh, instead of saying "eat shit, eat shit, eat shit," it was supposed to be "fuck you." Um, but they wanted to keep it as a PG-13 movie, so
Mm.
Chris Evans had the idea of "eat shit, eat shit, eat shit," and then Michael Shannon ad-libbed a line, "I won't eat one iota of shit." And I thought that was just fantastic. I love Michael Shannon.
I wonder how much an iota would be, because I think I can handle iota of shit. Do you think you can eat
It's
an
a
iota of
dingleberry,
shit?
man. It's a dingleberry.
Iota of shit. What is the precise definition of iota of a um
Are you asking Jamie?
something? Yeah, I'm asking myself now. It's an extremely small amount. Well, small is a very subjective term here. We need to know exactly what an iota of shit is. It's the smallest letter in the Greek
Microscopic?
alphabet, so we gotta know. Yeah. Um, I need to know. I think I can handle an iota of shit. Do you think you can? Sure.
It depends on whose it is.
Whose would be more tolerable for you? Could
Like
you
in
eat more than iota of somebody's shit?
uh, well, we haven't defined the terminology of iota yet, so
You just
that's
said
yet.
you could eat, depending on the nature of who it is, an iota of shit. So you have already defined it in your head. Who are you thinking about?
I believe you have in your life eaten an iota of shit. I can guarantee that.
Microscopically, I'm sure we have. I'm sure we do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure we do it. Yeah, remember the MythBusters like episode where the toothbrushes get placed into the restroom and they test to see how much shit you have on your toothbrush depending on how close it is to the toilet. And
Oh
it doesn't
wow.
matter; they're all filled with shit. But more shit, more iotas of shit are on the toothbrush if it's closer to the toilet. And even if you cover it, there was like still iotas. So anyway, we have been
I didn't
eating.
need.
You've been eating shit your whole life. Do you brush your teeth? I know you don't use Q-tips. Do you brush your teeth?
I brush my teeth in the
That's
morning,
good.
so I eat shit for breakfast.
You don't brush your teeth at night?
I was playing with that joke, but yes, I brush my teeth 2, sometimes 3 times a day,
That's good.
depending.
Do you have a toothbrush at work?
No toothbrush at work, but I use a water pick. Got a water pick.
Use a water pick?
It's like
I know what a
for
water pick is.
flossing.
I know what it
Okay.
is.
All right.
But anyway, fun, fun. Other than plot chatter, um, in lines again, the murder mysteries are not really filled with like dialogue that really are or like the scene was set up like I love the shot selection here. You know that no, there's not like a it'd probably take away from the actual like the movie experience if it was shot too well. I think, or maybe not. Who knows?
It's what both of these murder mysteries are is less about like the obviously I think it's less about the who done it than actually like just the characters and how they play off of each other and how their motives are all different. And yeah, as a viewer you try and figure that out, but it's just like enjoy the fucking ride. um Sit back and watch Benoit Blanc smoke a pipe or a cigar and figure this stuff out, because he sees the donut. He's just trying to find that donut hole,
That
the hole
reference
inside the donut hole.
is just so ridiculous. I don't really even
It's
understand it,
great.
to be honest. Like, what does
I
that
don't think it's
mean?
meant to. Apparently, the director wanted to edit that out,
I
but
can see why.
Daniel Craig was like, no, keep it in.
Because it makes no sense. Like I actually I thought like very quickly, and I was like, I don't know what that is even trying to mean. And I was like, I'm not even gonna work. You just give up on things. You're like, I don't know what this is. Like I don't care. Like I'm moving on with my life. Like it's probably doesn't amount to anything. Like if you can't quickly figure out even if there's a semblance, an iota of something there, I was like, this isn't worth my
It's not worth your
extrapolating in my
time.
brain. Yeah. Like I'm done. But I was just like, this is just funny. But anyway, it was fun week. Until next week, we have very fun
Well, do you want to do
repertoire of
ratings
movies.
first before we delve into next week?
Sure, Bob. I have got for Clue. I was debating on whether or not to even rate this higher, but I can't go there yet. I think, and so I rated it. Just the feeling I have of Clue. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Strangely, I have resynced and recalibrated my top 100 list, and it's there. I really enjoy this movie. Would I correct things? Would I be too trivial and saying it could be directed differently with the better blah blah whatever it might be? There's not many movies you walk away and both of these actually apply. You walk away and you're just like, that was fun. The dialogue was great. The acting was great. Um, and it seemed like they had a really good time. So I gave it a 4.5. I really like this
Cool.
movie a lot. I was considering giving it a 5 because I was like, there's nothing like this movie. But
No, there's not.
I don't think it's a 5 star. Maybe it is for feeling, but 4.5.
Cool. Yeah. Clue. Like I said, first watch. And I think I sent you a text um after I watched it. It was like right at the last line. And I was just like laughing as hard as I could. And I was like, this is
Yeah.
probably one of the funnest watches I've had with this podcast.
It's so silly.
Um so silly.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that they were gonna give me 3 different endings.
Oh, really?
I just like I was like, keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
I'll take 7.
Oh my god.
I'll take, show somebody in a movie theater crawling through the screen and killing somebody. Like,
I would like
it could be
more.
anybody.
Yeah, I would like more of these. It's fun.
But yeah, 4.5 for me as well. And then Knives Out. I was going to rate it just on par with Clue. Um, and it's still like a standout movie to me. It's a four glasses movie.
Yeah, so I basically did the exact same thing. I was like, the feeling was very similar. I actually like the extreme detail of how it was constructed and how it kind of elaborated on itself. Marta being like, it had more of a story.
I th-
I
I think,
appreciated that,
yeah,
and I was like, yeah, it's on par. And then I really thought about it, and I just on the gut feeling, and I was like, nah, it's like it was the first of its kind. It came before it, and also the feeling. I felt better after Clue, and it's a simpler story, but I felt better. Like I was like, I like just the moments it had where like anyone can die, and it didn't matter who was going to die next. Like
didn't matter.
you were not even connected to a single character. No matter who died, you're like moving on. It wasn't about that. Like even if anyone could die, and I was like, there's not movies that really like you. There's character development. You get attached to some characters from time to time, and then Clue is not that movie. But yeah, I gave it a 4 as well, primarily because of the same reasons. Or 4 glasses. I didn't say
Yeah,
stars.
Four
4
Glasses. Thank
glasses.
you. Yeah,
Friday, we're
Knives.
going to be dropping this Friday. We're going to be dropping the website. We're forcing it out, peoples, and we're getting a
It's
whole
going
new
live.
rebrand. Yellow and blue. I hope you like.
Yellow and blue.
And next week, what are we discussing?
Next week we're doing man
versus
technology.
man versus technology. So you asked me. I asked you, what are we doing the week after next, or the next podcast? And you go, like, up to you. I said, thank fucking God, it's finally here. Finally, I get to decide. And so I said, man versus technology. And coincidentally, I had just
Great idea, by the way. Great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we have 2 wonderful movies coming up with The Matrix of my choice and Johnny Mnemonic, which are both Keanu Reeves, as if you've ever seen both of them. Very excited about this. I'm done with The Matrix and halfway through with Johnny. So this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm excited to discuss these 2 movies next to each other. One is a classic of the sci-fi genre
Johnny.
in Johnny Mnemonic. Yeah, Johnny. And then you got the other one, right? That had some spin-offs and sequels and things like that.
Yeah, it's done all right.
It's done okay. This was fun. I hope you don't get murdered with a candlestick. Yeah, be careful. Do you even have candlesticks?
We don't have candlesticks or candles in our house. We don't believe in them.
Okay.
Because of people like you.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I thought it might be the, like fresh smelling scent in your house.
No, it's do you know if you burn candles in your house, it's basically just like having firewood, and it's actually terrible for you.
Yeah, but I have a great ventilation system in my house.
I don't think you do.
Honest Abe here.
Mm-mm.
Honest Abe. Till next week. Don't throw up, please. We will see you then.